business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the pod.
Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. Every episode is an invitation, a reminder that business and life isn't just about profit. It's about purpose. It's about showing up with a servant's heart in every deal, every decision, every day. Today's guest, boy, she's going to light you guys up. Oh my God, I spent 5-10 minutes with her. I'm so excited for her to be on the show. But she's also going to motivate you. She's going to challenge you. And more importantly, she's going to give you some tools that you're going to walk away with, inspire action, both in your life and in other people's lives. Yeah, this could be a resource, which we'll talk about at the end, for you to share with others to help them as well. Hey, before we dive in, your homework today, audience, is how you're going to serve yourself and others today. It doesn't have to be a big impact. Excuse me. Even a small act of kindness or courage can change the game. And one of those small acts of kindness can be sharing this link to somebody going, you got to talk to this lady. She's awesome. So lean in, take notes. Let's discover how servant leadership in business can create ripple effects that last far beyond the bottom line. And my quick shout out to my sponsor, Epic Impact, the only universal, emotionally resonant messaging framework that works anywhere for any audience. The 4-step system transformed how I pitch, post, and podcast. The 4 things that we do is engage, persuade, inspire, and close. I use it daily, and I love how it works. Grab your free trial at epicimpact.ai with promo code Steve to start inspiring action today. Quick shout out to the audience and guests. We had top 6 in small business marketing just last month. If it wasn't because of you guys, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate it. But more importantly, we're impacting people with that ranking. Let's keep impacting more people. With that being said, I am fired up to have my guest because you know what? She gets marketing because it's coming from the heart. It's not the transactional, she's transformational. Let's bring her on. Jensen, welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Let's tie servant's heart into marketing. Doesn't happen a lot. I get pitched on LinkedIn all the time. I can do your leads and all that. Discuss that with us.
Yeah. So I have, I guess, a little bit of background on me. So I've worked as a marketer in-house at a bunch of different companies as a marketing director. And I've also owned a regular old marketing agency. I scaled that really quickly. And then I really quickly decided that that's not what I wanted to do because I identified the need for more integrated marketing that plays into the overall business strategy, and ties into those other core functions like sales and operations and something that's really scalable and sustainable and custom. So that is a huge part of everything that I do in my career is making sure that what we bring to the table is ultimately serving the client at the highest possible level instead of just, selling a service and clicking a button and leaving it. We want to do extremely good work. That's something that really, really drives me is having that highest level of service. And so that's something that I definitely hold as a core value of mine.
She's on the show and she reached out a cold email to me and you never know who you're going to run into. This is a rock star here. But here's the other side of serving that I hear, I'm sure you might hear too, is, yeah, Jensen, I love to serve, but I didn't make any money off that person. I got to make money to pay my employees, to pay my bills.
Yeah, I think that's difficult, especially getting started out, because when you're getting started out, you're typically coming from a place of scarcity. Like you said, you've got the bills to pay. You've got a certain timeline in mind that you want this to start working. But I think in business in general, it's a very important and valuable lesson that things take time. You can roll out a marketing strategy that is an excellent strategy. That doesn't mean that you're going to roll it out and it's going to start printing you money within the first week or two. So you have to be able to delay gratification and understand that that's just part of the process rather than a defect. So you've got to understand a connection you make today, maybe you're not going to close them for thousands of dollars that day, but maybe a couple of years down the line, they'll say, "Hey, I just thought of you for this opportunity." I've had that happen so much in my career where somebody I met or work that I did years ago ends up paying dividends in the present. And there's no way that you can predict that in the moment. But you've got to understand that kind of compounds on itself. It's all a long-term game.
Where it comes in my mind is patience. I
Hmm.
don't know if that's the right marketing term, it probably isn't. But what I'm hearing from you is be patient,
Hmm.
build a waiting list. And it's not a waiting list, but a network of people. And you said years later, somebody came back and bought,
Hmm.
bought your service.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's happened a lot throughout my career. And like I said, there's no way you can predict that, but you've got to be able to kind of sit back and let the flowers grow. You don't plant a seed and then get mad that it's not sprouted the very next day. And that goes for business, that goes for life, that goes for marketing. I've had to sit down with so many business owners throughout my career and expectations set with them. Like, this can be amazing, but just because something's amazing doesn't mean it's instantaneous. You don't meet somebody and on the first date, you're like, okay, I think we're a good match. Let's get married. It's like, well, maybe you will get married, but you've got to take the time to build that, right? So I think, yeah, patience is absolutely the key.
Sister from another mother. I use that story all the time. You don't go on that first date and go, I'm going to marry that girl or that guy. No, maybe it's a week later and some crazy stuff, but majority of the time, there's going to be hopefully years and months that you're going to get to know each other.
Mhm.
Going through your bio, I love this phrase, impactful marketing, not just marketing. Talk about impactful marketing and how it brings a better ROI.
That's yeah, so that's a huge core of all of the marketing strategies that we employ. We want to always focus on transformational value. There's so much marketing out there that focuses on features or benefits, but the very first thing that we look at in every single case with a new client is, how does this service or product bring the prospect from here to there? What are their deepest motivations? Why do they want to go from here to there? That's the core of impactful marketing, is being able to speak to those things that are a little deeper than the surface level need of, somebody wants to go to the gym. You don't say, "Great, our gym has this machine, it's open these hours." You want to speak to, okay, why do they want to go to the gym? Do they want to be around longer for their kids? Do they want to feel confident when they look in the mirror? And then say, okay, here's where you're at now. Here's where we can get you. And then bridge that gap through your marketing. So I think that's the core of impactful marketing. That's where it sits, is in being able to effectively bridge that gap.
The fitness store, I ran a fitness, my family owned a fitness club for 20 years. And that was our story, with service. Come in, you get a towel. It wasn't about the greater equipment, the great teachers we had, but it was, hey, you come in and get a towel. There's somebody walking around asking you, answering your questions. I love that. You got a very big, nice part of my heart there, because it's exactly how we grew a massive business, is doing that. So, in regards to ROI in marketing, can you tell us a story that you did some impactful marketing, real time, working with somebody?
Yeah. Yeah, so talking about fitness, great examples. So that's how I earned my 2 Comma Club award, was, yeah, in my work in fitness. And so, yeah, that's a great example, and a huge part of that was being able to demonstrate that transformational value and speaking to those deeper desires, and being able to communicate that effectively. Like, to your point with the towel thing, that's the customer service that really makes a huge difference. And so if you can convey that level of care and service through your marketing, that is a huge differentiator. So yeah, so in the fitness example, our core audience was women, and typically like middle-aged to a little bit older women. And so we really drilled down on those psychographics, those deep desires. Are you able to look at yourself in the mirror, or do you feel terrible about yourself every day when you get up to get dressed? How much better would your life be if you could come into every situation with confidence? That's the type of messaging that really sticks with people, rather than just, like I said, just pushing on a feature or even a benefit just to say, lose 10 pounds. It's like, okay, take it a step further. Why do they want to lose 10 pounds? What does losing 10 pounds get them? What's the next step? So that was a huge part of being able to have a really high ROI on the marketing that I did in the fitness industry, was going back to the bridging that gap and conveying that value.
Yeah. And we'll talk about authenticity because that's important in marketing. You can't say I do, and nobody does that. They come in and everybody gains weight when they come to your gym. It's like, yeah, you're going to be in trouble. What happens when a company, and you probably had this happen, where they pitching more than impactful? How can they pivot to get away? They're out there as a pitcher, but you come in and go, okay, you've been pitching. How do they pivot that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's usually low hanging fruit, because typically if you have a conversation with the founder or the team, they can usually articulate the transformational value. And it's just that they're not pushing that in their messaging. It's one of those situations where, and one of my favorite situations to deal with with a new client is when I hear something along the lines of, if we can just talk to them, we can sell them. Because that usually means when you're in front of somebody, you can convey that transformational value. But it's something is being lost in the messaging where that message is not being pushed out on the marketing side. And so then you dive deeper and you talk about, okay, what are the services that you offer? And then you really start to dig out, you start to peel back the layers of, like I said, what is it that they truly want? Is it status? Is it competence? All these different things that are these deep, innate human desires that once you can speak to those, that's how you stand out.
I love how you just did that. That is a servant's heart, because you didn't say, hey, you're screwed. Sorry, you've been pitching your equipment and you're in trouble. You may have lost some people there, but there's so many people in the world or in the area, say a fitness center. I love how you approach that. You're always coming with a servant answer. We can help you one way or the other, but of course they got to take action. Authenticity, genuine in marketing. Have you seen that missing lately more? I've seen it. What's your thoughts on it?
Oh, absolutely. I think with the rise of AI and also the increase in social media becoming so prevalent more than ever before, you have AI taking over to the point where it can create ads, it can create videos, images. It's like every single thing that you could put out online can be AI generated. And so with that being said, there's never been more noise, but I think there's also never been more opportunity to stand out, because especially that low effort AI content where somebody's clearly just plugging into Chat GPT, write me a social media post about this. People can sense that. I've seen so many people say that they're turned off from a business or a brand or an influencer because they can tell. It's becoming more and more apparent because you see the same format, you see the same thing over and over. And it's usually not very value additive. It's usually very canned. And so you have the sea of sameness. And I've seen a lot of people have this worry about, okay, AI can create all of these things. That's going to make it really hard to market. And I actually think differently. I think if you understand the core principles of marketing, that's not really going to matter, because you can build a strategy that stands out regardless. And if you have people using that low effort, just thinking that putting up an ad that's AI generated is going to solve all their problems, that's honestly kind of what you want, because it makes it a lot easier to be more competitive. So there's more noise, but a lot of the noise is low quality. So if you do come out and you have high quality, authentic content, that's all you really need.
And you are incredible, because here's why, audience. You could do an AI prompt and say, let's use fitness. Ours was called Royal Courts. And people that know me, it's been years. It's 25 years. But you could put in there, list all the features of Royal Courts to market. And then they have Nautilus equipment, they have treadmills, this is like you were saying earlier. Or you could put in, show me some impactful ways a fitness club can make a difference to a human being. So it's what we put in the AI will pop out what you're talking about. I'm not going to speak for you, but it sounds like you're using a little bit of AI yourself, but using your flair.
Yeah, and you've got to know how to use it like any tool, right? That's what people don't understand, is people are getting so scared about AI. And it's like, well, there have been so many technological advancements, especially in the past, 40 years. You've got the internet absolutely changed the game as far as business and marketing. You've got social media absolutely
Yeah.
changed the game again. AI changing the game. But it's not saying, oh, now marketing's not going to exist or there's no need for human involvement. It's just the way that you've got to approach things is a little bit different. So I'm not saying don't use AI,
Yeah.
but know how to leverage that because it's just a tool. At the end of the day, it's a tool, and tools fall under tactics, which fall under principles. So if you understand the principles, you can leverage those tools in an impactful way. So that's the core of what you've got to know when those new tools do come. And that's to AI, but that's also, 20 years down the line when we're so many steps past AI and, things that we can't even imagine right now. It all comes
Yeah.
back to that.
You'll be on Mars marketing businesses from Mars with that connection. And thank
Oh,
you for
yeah.
saying that. And I'm glad because I could tell your thought is you're not saying not use AI. And I'm glad you said that. And audience, you get that. AI is a tool, but internet came out in 94. Well, there's the dark web. People don't know about it. They're doing bad things. But look what we're doing here. We're doing a podcast on the internet. Fantastic. You have so much passion for marketing. I can feel it. What are industries that you love working with?
Honestly, I think a superpower that I have is that I can really find passion in anything. And this is part of the reason that I created my business the way that I did is we typically work with service-based businesses. So really any business that provides a service. So it could be fitness. It could also be cybersecurity. And I just love to meet all of the different founders and team members that are passionate about this super obscure thing. And it's like I feed off of that. So I think for me, it's less about the specific industry and it's more about people that are passionate and they do have something unique to bring to the table that can really benefit people. So that's really what it boils down to for me is just more those value driven companies that really have something there and they're passionate about it. They've got a mission. And I just soak that up from other people.
You're agnostic to the industry. And I like that because what you do, the impactful marketing, can handle a plumbing company or an online business coach. Just a different way of doing it. And I kind of knew you were going to say everybody. So I kind of walked you into that one. So you have a team, I believe, right? Your company has a team that you work with. So you're a leader.
Yes. Yep.
How do you describe hands-on leadership?
Hands-on leadership. Ooh, that's a great question. Because I think it's a little bit of a deceptive name because I think hands-on leadership, you think that you've got to kind of have your hands in everything. But I think hands-on when it comes to leadership is being able to guide people along their journey, whatever that looks like. I've spoken about leadership before, and this also kind of goes to my marketing philosophy is understanding people's deepest desires and intentions. If I'm working with somebody, if they're on my team, I want to know, what do you like? What do you value? Where do you see yourself in 20 years? And why do you see yourself there? And if you can facilitate that, that to me is hands-on leadership because you're guiding them on this path, which in turn allows them to execute at the highest level in, what they're doing on a daily basis, whether that's email marketing or admin or whatever it is. So I think supporting that bigger purpose, that's a true leader. And in my bosses in the past that I've had when I was an employee, that's the biggest differentiator between a boss that was just okay and a boss that I look back and I'm like, wow, I really loved working with them. They really took that investment in you, your career, your wants, your needs. So to me, that's what hands-on leadership is.
That's perfect. Perfect. So people listening, I know I have talked to them, want to be a better leader or be a leader. They want to run a team and all that. What are some of the traits you've learned from your former bosses and you that really make a successful leader?
One of the biggest is that everybody brings something unique and valuable to the table. I used to be more close-minded as far as just, looking surface level at somebody rather than taking the time to be open-minded. Maybe somebody doesn't have the credentials or the background or the years of experience that you have. But I always say this, every single person you meet has something that you can learn from, whether that's a skill that they have that they can bring to the table, or just a story that they have to share about a lesson they learned. Everybody's experiences are different. No two people on earth are the same. And so that that's a big one for me, is being super open-minded and being willing to accept all the value that other people have to bring to the table.
Love the uniqueness part. That's powerful. I'm sad because we're coming to the end here, because you're just, like I said earlier, a rock star. But I get asked this all the time. How do you help clients handle setbacks in marketing? You put 10,000 into marketing, nothing happens, very little happens. What's your next step with a client?
The next step is watching tape, I call it. So I come from an athletic background. So that's something you always do, is you look back at the game you played and you analyze the things that you did, the plays, the way that you approached things. And from there, you're able to regroup and come back stronger. That's one of the biggest lessons that I could possibly impart on anybody in business, is that all setbacks can be temporary. It's up to you to make them temporary or not. You can lose $100,000 on poor marketing. But guess what? If you did that, you can go back and look, why was it poor? Was that our messaging was bad? Were we advertising on the wrong platforms? Were we not, um, whatever it is, were our ads just low quality? There's so many different things. It's like, you've got to go back and you've got to watch that tape to see how you can move forward. So when it comes to a client and they've got a setback, whether that's with marketing specifically or just business in general, I like to just be impartial and look at the facts of the situation and then strategize how you can move forward. Especially with smaller businesses, you've got to be able to pivot really quickly and not let those things slow you down.
Well, the sports bridge is unbelievable. We're so connected and aligned, because I think sports and business there, and you're absolutely right. And successful companies have setbacks in marketing all the time. They're not 100% guaranteed every campaign they put out there. When I heard that, I'm like, okay, I can make a mistake. And like you said, learn from it and move on. God, this is such a, I hope audience, you listen to this again if you have to. I got notes all over my page here because of the stuff she's saying. It's helping me. That's why I love hosting. But let's end with a fun question. Let's learn about Jensen a little bit more. So I've got a table at a restaurant reserved for you, table for 4. You obviously sit in one of the chairs. So in those 3 empty chairs, who would you invite to converse and get to know and talk to, dead or alive, doesn't matter. And what food is Jensen ordering?
Ooh. First person that came to mind was Abraham Lincoln. I mean, obviously, politically, all kinds of great things that he did for the country, but something else that really inspires me about him is that he truly came from nothing, didn't even have an education, and became not only a super successful lawyer, but the president. So that in and of itself, I would love to dive deeper into that. Other person is Dale Carnegie, wrote some of the best business and I guess even just life books in general. His work is definitely some of my favorite. Who else? Rockefeller. I would love to talk to Rockefeller, another enterprising entrepreneur, coming from a completely different, what's the word, era as right now. So I think that would be really cool to talk to somebody that was obviously extremely successful in business in a completely different landscape, because it would be really fun to dive deeper into those principles that were used then that still apply today. I love stuff like that. And then other than that, let's think. Let's go Freddie Mercury. I want to throw a curveball. Obviously, top of his class artist. And I would just love to dive deeper into just his creativity and his gusto. Completely reinvented a genre of music and changed music forever. So he would also be a super interesting one to talk to. And as far as what I'm ordering, I gotta go with a chicken parmesan. That's a classic. You can't really go wrong with that.
Amen to that. You might have to bring a 6th chair because Steve might have to sit there. Well, great table too, by the way. Oh my God. And talk about a great marketer, Abraham Lincoln. He actually marketed states to abolish slavery. I mean, that's huge marketing. So interesting you picked them. Probably I could see why. Jensen, thank you for taking the time. You've blessed our audience tremendously in marketing because everybody, you out there listening, that's your most important part of your business is marketing. But now people want to reach out to you. I know people listening like, I got to talk to Jensen. How can they find you?
Yeah, so you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Just search up my name, Jensen Savage, or you can go to my company's website at savagegrowthpartners.com and reach out there.
Beautiful. Super simple, easy. That's what marketing should be, just like she did. Thanks again, Jensen. And audience, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You're welcome. Here's why. You get this link. It gets sent to you. You listen to it. And somebody goes, I need help with marketing. I just listened to this podcast a couple of days ago. You need to listen to Jensen. You impactful marketing. Now, is it making you money? No, but you impacted your friend or your worker or fellow company owner. Because I think these are gifts from like Christmas every year. This is a Christmas gift you can give people because it's all about the impact, like we started the show with. With that being said, me and Jensen want to thank everybody for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Take care, everybody.